Okay, this is a 10 litre container of wheatgrass seed. I paid about 36 New Zealand dollars including freight for this. And I've broken it up into bags that I've sold to some of the community members here, and I've got a couple of 1 kilo bags left myself. And I've just come out with handfuls of wheatgrass like this and pour them into this bottle here in the capsule. It's about 4 inches deep there, and I'm going to cover that with about a couple inches of water. That's all I'll need, and I'll leave it for 12 hours. That amount of wheatgrass will last me for sort of easily 2 weeks the way I use it. I'll take one cut and then I'll let it go again, and I'll take another cut. Okay, about 12 hours after I took the last shot of those seeds, I put the seeds behind a couch in our living room where there was also a fire, so they weren't too far from the fire, and left them there for 12 hours. And I think it was later that night that I emptied the water out and rinsed them again and left them for another day and a half. And so now, exactly 2 days later, we have a bottle full of seeds that are just starting to get little white buds starting to creep out, and also they're ready to go into these trays here. There's the big one, and there's a sort of smaller one just in case we've got the surplus left over from the big one. And we'll just basically layer them side by side on these 2 trays, assuming that we use more than one. Okay, now here's the finished product, a bed of seed. See if we can have a closer look. I don't know whether this is going to show or not. Just to see if we can slowly kind of see signs of the little buds that are happening. See the little buds coming out of them. The idea is to try and get them about side by side. And I've been told to leave them in a dark place, but that hasn't really worked that well for me, and to cover them up with wet newspaper. It's the middle of winter now. I'm just going to leave them as they are. I'm told that by keeping them in the dark, they grow fast because they reach for the light and they think they're underneath the soil. But I'm just going to leave them like this and see how they get on. Because previously, when I put wet paper over them, they've gone a bit mouldy at times. It's been very sort of convenient to look after. I've got it in a room at room temperature. And this little bottle is what I kind of water it with, a little herbal kind of atomizer bottle. Okay, I'm not quite sure how clear you can see this, but you can see I've cut a portion of that wheatgrass out. And to be honest, I came a bit early, really. I needed to let it grow a couple of centimetres more, so I'll just make this my first shot, and then I'll leave it for a few more days before I take my next shot. I want to get it up to about the equivalent of 6 or 7 inches. Translate that to centimetres if you like. And you can see here on the chopping block it's a bit short of where I'd like wheatgrass to be. But anyway, I'll chop this up into nice fine little bits, put it in the blender with some nice spring or filtered water, and we're ready to go. Okay, so there's the wheatgrass all sort of diced up into small little 1 centimetre particles. The reason I do that is so it makes it easier for the blender. Otherwise it's really hard work on the blender doing this long grass because it's so fibrous. And here's our $30 second-hand blender bought on Trade Me, New Zealand site. You can get good second-hand goods as long as you ask the right questions. And you can see at the bottom of that I've got a little bit of hot water in there, and regardless of whether I've cleaned it out properly last time, I always like to put a bit of hot water in it prior to doing any juicing and just give it a little just a little zoom around for a couple of minutes just to do a final clean out before we put the real spring water in. And the diced wheatgrass. Okay, and you can see sort of how much I've got in there. That's about enough. That's about a whole cup, equivalent of about a cup full of water. Okay, you can see the wheatgrass floating in the water there. I wouldn't put any more wheatgrass than that in a blender, because it can be just too much like hard work and you can burn your blender motor out. I mean, I could get away with doing twice that, but I can feel it's really working the motor, whereas that amount there, it just gives me equivalent of, you know, 2 good shots of it, and then I can drink that. And if somebody else wants a couple of glasses, then I can just add some more diced wheatgrass and another cup of water straight away afterwards. Okay, now we can sort of see a lot of bubbles at the top, but we can also see right down at the bottom where the water is, it's infused with the green chlorophyll and vitamins and minerals of the wheatgrass. Now, when I sieve this out, I'm going to chew the pulp and the pith anyway before I spit it out. So I'm not going to miss out on anything. And that's basically the fast way to get your wheatgrass juice, rather than having to kind of spend money on these $1,000 kind of juices that give you an extra 5% more vitamins and minerals. If you want a quick way of doing it, this, in my belief, is not a bad way to go about it. And I can't believe that that exercise would have devitalised the wheatgrass. I mean, it's not like it's going to be hot water in there. In fact, I'll prove that now by putting my finger in there, which of course is very unhygienic, but I'll do it anyway. And to be honest, it's lukewarm, just lukewarm. Can't tell me, just very lukewarm. Can't tell me that's going to damage the content. In fact, what I might do, just to make life nice, I might add a little bit of pomegranate juice, because I can get that pretty cheap from the supermarket. Not from concentrate, if you can read that, I'm not sure. 100% pure juice, not from concentrate. And it's got pure pomegranate juice, pasteurised. So, you know, all those 3 things combined, not from concentrate, 100% pure juice, pure pomegranate. And I saw an article about it in the newspaper, and that was enough to make me think it wasn't a bad choice. I don't know, it just feels like a nice healthy drink, and it's a little bit sweet as well. So it can sweeten up the wheatgrass juice. Okay, we're ready to pour. And I'll push out all the hard froth and the pith in there as well. I'll just chew that up and spit it out. A bit more in there I could wash out, which in fact I will. There you go, poured some pomegranate juice in there. Give that a little shake around just to get some of the more goodness out of the frothy wheatgrass juice out of it, and pour that in the cup. And there we have one really nice smoothie, which I'll stir and consume. Probably felt it's a little bit high, but I'm going to slurp that froth off before it dribbles down. I've just had a gulpful and it's delicious. It just feels like it's brimming with life. And the pomegranate's given it a really nice little flavour and sweetening taste. But the wheatgrass on its own is pretty sweet anyway. So that's fine just as a juice, but I'm just being a punce and just trying to make life heaven on earth, which I've effectively done. So it's going to make my day, despite all the other stupid things I'll do in it.